Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Robert and Jason from the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate, and this is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. As always, we appreciate you guys spending a little time with us. Both of us are here in the studio today, so we're going to talk about cutting the learning curve. You figured out your why and all that other stuff, and you've got your FICO and all that stuff, and you're ready to go. And now, how do we start doing some things that?
Wait, we're not going to sit down and help them with their why?
No. Well, actually, we're going to not the mastermind preview at the end of this month. We're not going over the why. We're going off of the how much does the why cost.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
How much does the why cost? So we're gonna have an open house Thursday. It's a $10 event. We're gonna go through how much does the why really cost.
Right.
Okay. But anyway, so you're ready to go. Again, you're fitting our model. You're engineer, medical guy, professional, make $150,000, $180,000 a year, which seems to be entry level in the oil industry.
Yeah, that's about right.
Right. So
yeah, if you're not in the low six figures, I mean, you're
right.
Yeah, in a professional kind of setting in oil and gas, you're kind of in the wrong spot.
No, right. Anyone with a clipboard is getting paid about $100,000.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So. If you're there and you've got a little money saved and your FICO's good and you didn't screw up your credit and you're ready to start buying some properties, we're going to talk about a couple things today. We're going to talk about how to do it to save money, like what would be the things I would do over the first 3 years of my investment career to save money, and then what would I do to start reducing the learning curve, how to eliminate the need. And of course, you're in the oil world, so you're probably an engineer background, which means you'll never reduce the learning curve. You're going to want to know everything, but I'm going to try and break that for you tonight. So let's talk about, in the first half of the show, let's talk about what you would do. What's the number one thing you would do, Jason, if you're about to start your real estate investing career, not including joining the mastermind? Of course, you're going to join our mastermind, but if you're not going to do that, what are you going to do?
Step one, after I've got my credit and everything else, man, it's hard to argue against getting your real estate license.
I agree. I knew that's where we were going. Yep.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We didn't even talk about this beforehand, but if I'm just now getting into this business and looking at being a real estate investor, and I don't have like piles and piles of cash. I'm talking about, maybe $100,000 to invest, 50, 80, 110, something like that. I'd go out and get my real estate license.
Which is going to cost between $1,200 and $1,500.
Yeah.
Depending if you take the platinum class or the basic class.
If I'm looking to maybe turn this into a career, I've got one of two tracks. One is to become a licensed agent. The other one's to go into mortgage.
Yep.
I think that's you go into finance or you go into sales. I mean, I think which technically the mortgage side's sales anyway, but that's the two tracks. And I think when you sit down and look at it, where's the real money going to be made? It's not going to be on the mortgage and notes side. There's really, I know a lot of guys like to sell the note business unless you're taking property back. Like it doesn't really move the needle for me, right? So, and
I feel that if you get your license, you're already 90% ahead of every other investor.
Yes.
And then if you just do 2 transactions in that first year and you've got now taken the knowledge and applying it to the real world situation, you're in the top 5% of investors in this market.
That's right.
And so in that first year, get your real estate license, do your first transaction under your own real estate license, go through, understand how title and escrow and all those things work. You get, again, real world experience there, and you'll be much, much stronger for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and again, we would recommend you join EXP. You can join EXP under us. That would be great. It's Mr. Texas Real Estate, brokered by EXP. So we'd love to have you on our team. We also talk about investors. Most of the guys on our team are investors, some retail folks. So it's a good little camaraderie here, and you don't necessarily have to be in the mastermind for that.
Yeah.
You also get a mentor with EXP. So the first 3 deals, you're under mentorship, and they'll be able to help you out. So yeah, number one would definitely be getting a real estate license. Absolutely. Number 2, to save money, I probably would go with an FHA conventional mortgage. I wouldn't be looking to do QMs. I wouldn't be looking to do flips. I think my first house, I'd like to get it as turnkey as possible.
Okay.
So I want to be able to qualify for that mortgage and understanding what I need. Again, it's going to be FICO, it's going to be income, it's going to be a whole bunch of other things, your debt. Make sure you have your personal financial statement together. This is all really important stuff. And then I would be looking for on that first one, again, we're talking about this is the stuff that you need to do is going to be do it turnkey, meaning doesn't necessarily have to have a tenant in place, but it's tenant ready, it's rent ready. So when you get the appraisal, not only you get a value of the property, you're also getting a rent appraisal. And that rent appraisal is what's going to help you qualify for the mortgage. So I'm going to tell you on that first deal, let's not get too deep into rehab, like unless you want to do the rehab. But I would say on that first one, your first real estate transaction, your first tenant, you're going to go for rent ready.
Yeah, my first rental property, I think the rehab was like $7,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It was like a little bit of paint.
Yeah.
We actually cleaned the carpet. I don't think we replaced the carpet in it.
Yep.
So, and then the next one was like a $25,000 rehab. It was like 1,400 square foot house. And then after that, I was getting into all these crazy ones. But yeah, there's no reason to go out there and just bang out some big rehab and go from there. I'd rather just do the kind of little easy rehab.
So I will give credit where credit is due for number 3.
Okay.
I think the way that you lay out how as a single family owner with portfolio under 5 would go out and rent the property. I think your step by step is pretty genius. And I know you got a lot of that from...
Yeah, I got it from guys over at Lifestyles.
Lifestyles, yeah. So
they teach that on the radio show.
Yeah. So go find that Dell podcast where he talks about that. That's that step by step. And again, if you're just I'm nighttime and weekends is kind of when you're doing it. You're not have a big portfolio. You're not looking for a property manager. You're going to self-manage that first one. Then, yeah, there's a nice little system in place that has been taught for many, many years over at Lifestyles about making sure you put the signs up really, really quick. And it's really important to get it out there. How to do the interviews, how to do the showings. You're really going to want to move very quickly and be as sterile as possible.
What do you mean by sterile?
There's no emotion.
Oh, yeah.
None of the stories that you're telling me mean anything to me.
I could tell you, I run into a lot of investors where it's like, they're interviewing they're bringing in lease applications with potential tenants. And, you'll get this family's really sweet. It's like, but all the kids are ex-cons, right? And it's like, okay, so we can't rent to those people.
Right.
So if that's your standard, then you can't
be sterile. If you're not going to allow pets, you're not going to allow pets, right? Yeah. So you're going to have to be really sterile when it comes to that. Just sort of very clinical. This is the list.
Right.
And most of you guys who I'm talking to, you engineer types, you'll have no problem.
Yeah, that's right.
No problem.
We were talking about that this weekend in our class. I'm like, we have no shortage of D's around here.
That's true.
Because I started talking about, like marketing different kind of folks. And I'm like, we need to get into more S's because that's most of the population. And, And they were like, well, why would you do that? I'm like, because look at our mastermind. It's all y'all D's, right? We got some I's thrown in here for the mix. But all you guys are, alpha dogs at what you do. I'm like, we need to get some other people in here.
Yes. So listen, today we're talking about, how to reduce that learning curve, some of the things you need to do professionally, some of the things you're going to need to get going on your property. There is, we've talked about it over and over on the show. It takes 3 years to get good at anything. And tonight we're talking about how to reduce that 3-year learning curve. This is Robert and Jason with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate, Texas Real Estate Radio Network, broadcasting right now from the Texas Real Estate Investment Center. We have our open house on June 17th. Yeah, I got it right. June 9th.
Oh, that's our grand opening.
Our grand opening, yes.
Open house is tomorrow.
No, that's right. I'll correct that when we come back from the real estate break. Yeah. This is Robert and Jason. We'll be right back. Thanks.
Yeah, man, if we've got $5,000 cappuccino machines in the building now, we can at least put water in the fridge in the studio.
That would be great.
I can't remember who it was, went into like a convulsions on the show one day, and I'm like, oh, we got to have water in the studio here. So, well, in real estate after dark, we're going to have whiskey and cognac and
scotch
and brandy and all
rye,
that.
Yep.
And of course, we're going to have smokes and
cigars.
And
we got a little bench out there and smoke cigars. Yep. I mean, Carter enjoyed a cigar out there one night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
that's fun.
Very nice. Yeah,
that's fun. So yeah, it'll be a good it's going to be a good time.
I don't usually haven't done a lot of tobacco in a long time, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I'm like really enjoying the cigar,
Yeah,
like very quickly. And I look over and like he's halfway done, and I'm down to a nub. I'm like,
I was like, this is a dirty little habit.
I gotta stop this.
Yeah, it's like every time I have a cigar, I'm like, boy, I could do this a lot more. This is great. So there's a bunch of guys. You know, we used to have a membership to the Big Cigar Lounge here in town. There's two or three of them that are pretty good, and I think we had memberships to. I know at least one of them. But in any case, we're talking about today shortening the learning curve, and so go out and get your license. Start renting some property. Don't make this. I think one of the things I always find fascinating is how difficult people make things. And if I were to get into the psychology, I think the reason they make it so difficult is because they don't believe it can be that simple. It's almost like an ego thing, right? Like it's, oh no, I'm this big real estate investor because we make this really, really difficult. And I'm like, bro, it ain't that difficult.
Yeah, and I think probably number 4, which might be number 1, is stick to the plan.
Yeah, stick to the plan.
Don't deviate. Once you've figured it out, once you understand what's going on, there's no more new gadgets or squirrels or any of that stuff you need to worry about. Just go out, buy it, close to turnkey as possible, do the work that you have to do, get it leased, and then move into property managing.
Yeah, you know, yesterday's show was dedicated to once you build the box, you don't go outside the box. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna be outside the box. No, because it destroys your business.
No, we have a 4:00 meeting today. And guy's gonna want us to go outside the box, and I'm like,
Not gonna happen.
not gonna happen. I know what I need to do. 31 months.
Yeah, not gonna happen. We'll have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
My favorite, you know, the other way you hear this too is, I got this really rich guy. I hear that all the time. Family office, rich guy, whatever, and they're gonna
He sold his software program.
Yeah, and
They all sold some sort of software technology.
some nonsense,
guy,
right?
Yeah.
And now they're going to come in and blow my business up. I'm like, you realize money is not the problem in your business, right? do you guys realize that? There's more money out there for real estate than we know what to do with. That's why rates are so low. Even in the private mortgage markets, the rates are so low because there's so much money in the system. So the money's not the problem. The problem is you got to find the deal. And the second challenge you're going to run into is being able to turn that deal around. In other words, get it fixed and get it rented. That's why we say, if we go back to step number, whatever it was, 2 or 3, it's like, look, you want to buy something that's got a really light rehab.
Yep.
I'll see these guys that go in, you know, with their, you know, we've not done one of the super investor meetings in a while, so I've not met this guy out there, but usually there's at least 1 or 2. And he walks up to me, he's got his cowboy boots on, and he's got his belt buckle, and he goes, Jason, I listen to your radio show. And I go, oh, well, thank you very much. And then he says, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing this huge rehab. I'm stripping it down to the studs.
To the studs.
I'm taking it to the studs. And I'm like, well, did the house flood? Because that's about the only reason to take it down to the studs. But they wear this badge of honor, you know, that they're doing this big rehab. And I'm like, dude, by the time you finish that rehab, you could have had 5 more houses. Like, what are you doing, right? We're taking my house down to the studs because there's no economical reason to do it other than it's going to look really great, right?
Oh,
So
no,
it's
you're
like,
a total while we're at it guy.
yeah. At this point, I mean,
Yeah, well, hey, while we're at it, right?
yeah, we want to make those walls look good.
We might as well put a new roof on while we're at it, right?
Yeah, while we're at it, boys. So, but that's not an investment decision, right? So when we're getting into investment decisions, we're not taking things down to the studs. We're not over rehabbing a house. That's another thing. I walk some of these rental properties and I'm like, dude, why did you do all of this?
Right.
This is ridiculous. In fact, we've bought failed apartment projects from investors around town because the way they did the rehab was just a mess.
Yep.
It was like, no, we want these fancy cabinets. I'm like, it's $900 a month rental. What are you doing? Putting built-ins?
Right, 42 inches all the way to the ceiling, yeah.
We have an apartment complex that we bought that has nicer cabinets than probably your $500,000 house. It's kind of wild.
Yep. All right, so you're going to stick to the plan, right? Number 4, stick to the plan. So number 1, become an agent, right? Number 2, as close to turnkey as possible. Number 3, make sure you have your system for finding tenants in place. Number 4, stick with the plan. Go to get deviated. Will be the 5th thing we'd want to do to help on. Basically, we're saving money here. So I would take a look. Remember, have your exit strategy would be my number 5. So every time you're buying something, I'd have my exit strategy.
Yeah.
This is really, really critical in that I'm trying like heck to close on that 12-unit apartment, but
Yeah.
having a little.
They're just making it as hard as possible? Is it the underwriters on the lending side?
No, it's the seller who collects the rent in cash.
Of course.
Puts it in a big bag and tells me, yeah, everyone paid.
Yeah, here's a Walmart bag with 10 G's
And the
in it.
underwriter's like, this is not working for us. We
Yeah.
need to know what it really is and blah, that stuff. So I get it.
Well, that's typical small business guys, right? They skim
Mom
some.
and pops, yeah.
Yeah, mom and pops. They're skimming some money off the top. The joke Rob and I had for a long time.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. The
In our opinion.
in our opinion.
Yes.
And in some cases, in our experience, we start looking at the books of some of these properties, and there's like,
Missing $9,000 a month very consistently. Where does it go?
Where does that $9,000 go? Well, I got a girlfriend here, and I got another girl over here, and my wife doesn't know about any of this. And then there's a boat here in Mexico. Like, there's all this crazy stuff that you're like, all right, dude, come on.
Right. Right. We just looked at an apartment complex, and it's just basically when you do the math, there's $9,000 skim every month. And so, but it's so good of a deal, we said, hey, and it's coming from the family member who's also the property manager. We'll just hire that property manager at $5,000 a month
There you go.
for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because they don't want, the hurdle is that property manager.
That's right.
Because they're, hey, wait a minute,
I'm about to lose my job.
I'm about
here.
to lose my money tree.
Yeah.
So, hey, we'll alleviate some of the pain there on the money tree going away. So, what is your exit? If you're going to hold that property for 7 years, then you're going to do accelerated depreciation on it once you have a couple of those lined up. Get 5 properties, single families, go ahead and do the accelerated depreciation. If you don't know about that, go to check out mrtxre.com. MR is in Mr., TX is in Texas, RE is in realestate.com. Go to our event calendar, and then we do, I forget which Monday night it is, but we talk about a zero income tax strategy for real estate investors. So that's what I'd be looking at. So those are the big things that we're kind of covering here when you're getting started. Now, obviously, that's a lot, and the real learning curve would be joining our mastermind, right? You would really cut it down. But we understand you're masters of the universe,
That's
kings
right.
of your domain, right? You can do it yourself. We totally get it.
I don't need your mastermind. I read Bigger Pockets, and I'm like,
No,
got it.
Yeah. I think we have more people join our mastermind and have a minimum of 3 rentals than we do have none.
That's right.
Right? Because wait a minute, there's still a lot I don't know. Right?
Yeah, you start to run into, oh wait, this is a whole different game.
Even at many, many different levels. And so obviously we would highly recommend that you join the mastermind. You can do that by going to our website at mrtxre.com. Just check out the mastermind page. $12,500 year 2, $7,500 for year 3, $5,000 for year 4, $2,500 for year 4, free thereafter. Go ahead and check it out, mrtxre.com.
Welcome back. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network, here in the crown jewel of Houston, the Texas Real Estate Investment Center.
This is the best market in the country. We're seeing a hyper jump in rents. Mm-hmm. Wow.
We bought those properties in Richmond, and then I'm sitting there, and somebody said, "No, these are the new rent numbers." I'm like, "What?
Yeah,
we're already seeing big increases in rents. I didn't think that would happen for another 2 or 3 years."
It's there.
It's amazing. Almost all of our, I'd have to go back and look. I want to say all of our predictions are right. It's just where we miss the mark is how fast it happens.
So we're selling the cash.
Okay.
So that one's going to be listed pretty quickly here. It's off market right now, but I was very honest with the people that were interested, and right away we got into Donald Trump negotiating. Oh well, then that you got hey, you know what?
We'll put it on the market.
I'll just put it on the market.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll clean up those 4 units. I'll evict that one guy, and then I'll have a lot cleaner set of books. And instead of you getting it at 1.3, you can now pay 1.46 for it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so
because of your negotiating style.
Yeah,
so we're good.
A lot of folks negotiate themselves out of a deal, right?
2 of them did.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, man, here's the deal. We're going to put it on the market, and you guys are welcome to make an offer like
I
everybody
told
else.
them, hey, before I would close, I would have the thing 100% rented, and I would get the guy evicted.
Yeah.
Right? because that's all in motion right now. That's where our property managers.
Oh, she in court today?
She went yesterday to file.
Oh, okay.
And now they're doing it. So it's moving fast, by the way.
Oh, is it? The
And
eviction?
virtually, yeah.
Oh,
So
they're not messing around here.
Yes, which of course then puts burdens on my crew because now I got all these
Yeah, I got
turns to do and stuff. So, but we'll figure it out. But they're happening super fast. But yeah, I talked to two people and I explained completely honest, like, hey, here's the deal. This is this and this. It's like, hey, is it in a flood zone? I was like, it's in a 100-year flood zone, but there is a floodway right next to it. It's not something to be worried about. It's a good thing. That little gully moves water off our property very fast. Oh, okay. Well, I'm like, all right, listen, the rents right now are $925. This next go round, when I got to put 5 people back in, I'm going to push $975.
Yep.
Which is going to up this price on the cap rate. Or you can have it right now.
So it's did you say 4 or 6 of them that we're doing that? I'll tell you.
Six turns we have of the 13.
So 6 times 50, right? Times
50.
12.
Yes.
Divided by, are we at a 6 or 7 over there, cap?
We were going out at about a 7.
0.07. The price just went up $51,000.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
All right, guys.
It's just, it gets tiring dealing with these, right? Like, okay, whatever. That's fine.
I get it. You have to win.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? I gave you everything. I mean, it's a great deal. And because you feel like you got to be the dominant guy, you just cost yourself $100,000.
I was living this world for a while. Like, you just got everything you want. Now, what, you got to have more? You got what? I mean, what do we? Is it that important to win all the time?
Right.
It's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, and of course, I'm the guy that just doesn't care. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll just go sell it to somebody else. We'll go do something else.
That's
Wait,
I'm saying.
What?
Or
What?
by the time I it's like, hey, now you're motivating me to think the refi.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I might be at $1,000 by the end of this year for the rent.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, add 75 to that number, right? What's the value go up there?
Yeah. So let's add. Let's do it this. Let's do 75. It's
Probably 10.
It's
now.
13 units, isn't it?
13, yeah.
13 times 75 times 12 divided by 0.07. That's another 167 grand.
Right.
It just went up by 10%, 12%.
Right. So instead of like, hey, I'm interested, let me walk it, let's figure out how to get this done. It's just like, I'm master of the universe. I'm like, okay,
dude, whatever.
I'm not. I tried to do it the right way and shoot it out there as an off-market deal to some of the folks that I thought were in our, and right off the bat, it's all
craziness.
So it's like, no, we're good. It's 1.46 is what I'm selling for.
What are we into it for? 890?
Yeah, about 900,000. Mm-hmm.
900 grand. So we're in for 900, sell at 1.4.
Yep. It's 500,000. We have a 25% partner, so he's getting a nice little payday. He's going to double his money.
And he's going to double his money.
5
You and I are going to get
4 years, 3 years,
200 G's each for a little side project.
Yep.
That's the first one we did. We learned a lot, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We got paid $500,000 to learn. Mm-hmm. That's not a bad deal.
I'm taking that money and I'm paying off my homestead.
Oh, I'm doing the same thing, right? It just now here. That's actually an interesting conversation.
Boy, I got that. Yeah, got it.
You want an interesting conversation right now that I've had with multiple people, and they don't believe. You know what's funny is I'm like, when I recommend something, I don't get questions, I get accusations, and then I'm like, you ask me. You asked Mr. Texas Real Estate what I should do, and I said, I just told you. Now, questions are certainly acceptable,
Yes.
but accusing me, I'm like, who else is? Like, I look around the room and I'm like, I don't want to be an arrogant jerk here, but who else knows more about finances in this stuff? It's like, I welcome opinions of people who are better than me, but not people that are not my peers, right? So it's like, well, Jason, what should I do? I'm thinking about, should I invest in some more real estate or should I buy a single family home to live in? And I'll say it like this. There is no other job other than maintaining your employment than getting a single family house if you do not have one.
Right.
There is nothing. Let me explain to you how important that is. Before we get, I know today is shortening the learning curve.
This is part of it, yeah.
If you don't own the house you live in, you have to do that today. Houses in Houston are appreciating $3,300 a month. Mm-hmm. Affordable homes are appreciating $3,300 a month. Now, unless you can give yourself a $40,000 raise every year, you're just chasing after. I guess technically it's you borrow it and it's a marginal cost and all that other stuff. But At the end of the day, you have to buy a single family house right now.
For sure. Yep.
Right now.
Yep.
And most of y'all, if you've not owned one, you can do what? Is it 3 or 5% down?
3.5% down.
Okay, so you're at $290,000 median home price times 0.035. You need 10. You need 10 grand to get into a house. And the problem is that $290,000 house this time next year is going to be a $330,000 house. And the year after that, it's going to be $370,000 house. So one of the things I'm hearing a lot of is like, well, Jason, I can only afford a house X, and I really want to live in Y. And I'm like, look, you don't understand. You need to buy now.
That's the crazy talk.
Yeah, that's the crazy talk.
That's the crazy talk.
I get it all the time.
That is absolutely insane talk.
I really need to live in... I really need to live in the Heights over there by you. I'm like, those are $1 million homes.
Right, exactly.
You do not need to live there. Yeah. You need to go get a little place in Katy.
I'm selling one for $805 if you want one.
Yeah, he's got one for $805 right now. Right. You can go to Cypress. You can go to, I mean, any one of the little suburbs. Buy a house and live in it because you need the appreciation. I mean, what sort of investment for a place you can live in? Because let's be honest, a single family house you live in is not really an investment. Mm-hmm. However, I could pay $10,000 for a $290,000. I'm in for $10,000, and it appreciates $3,300 a month. It's a pretty good investment.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. I just
we get all those people like, wow, do I really want to do single family? Yes.
Yes. 10.
10 would be great.
Everybody's got to have 10 single family doors.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm ready to do some ground up and some apartments.
Right.
I was thinking about doing a syndications like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm like, you could totally do that. While we're doing that, we're going to go over here and buy some single family houses.
10 houses.
It's like, oh, but I really got to do. Okay, that's great. That's great. So let's go ahead and do some single family houses, and then
let's get
you will look back in your career and go, boy, I'm glad I bought all those single family houses. It's going to be like California. People are going to get blown away. The median home price hits $1 million in Houston in like 15 years. You're going to look back and go, man, I wish I bought more single family.
Hey, this is Robert and Jason with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back.
Welcome to the show. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network, world-renowned
Mr. Texas.
Mr. Texas Real Estate.
Yeah, of course. We have... So our second fund now is moving along.
Okay.
We should be able to open it up for accredited investors within 10 days.
Okay.
So people are lining up. I mean, we will be able to break the seal in the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
Just really moving very fast.
And what's the max is it 10 mil for that one?
No, we're raising $3.5 million.
Okay, so $3.5 mil for the first, kind of the first level, if you will.
Now we have 2 tiers.
Okay.
We have a $50,000 tier and a minimum investment, and then a minimum $100,000 tier.
Okay.
Which can offer some different rates and some different back-end stuff.
So more money in at once, you get probably more equity and more cash flow.
Now, the goal of that fund is to buy $10 million worth of 1 to 4 units.
Okay.
Still not doing it for small apartments. We're just still doing 1 to 4 units in there. And just met with our agents at 11 o'clock this morning. I think we're going to fill that thing up in 90 to 120 days.
You think we'll pick up 10 mil in real estate in the next 90 days?
They've already got $2 million on the board.
No kidding.
Yep.
And we'll end up buying all of it.
Yep.
You and I have to get to... we need to go revisit those numbers. We need to get to 180 million.
I'm at 150.
150 million.
Yep. I'm at 150. I think we're... we hit 26, and now we're selling about 5. Yep.
So we'll be down to 21 million.
21, but we're going to add 10, so we'll be up to 31. And then I think we've got 2 syndications behind that, which will put us at, one's $1 million. And the other both, we have 2 $1 million syndications that are coming up. So that'll put us at 33. And then we're going to once the $10 million is raised, we're going to do that same fund with number 2 behind it.
Okay.
Just fund number 2, right? Yeah. Texas Real Estate Appreciation Fund.
We don't want to just grow the fund. It's better to just spin it off.
It's easier to spin it off because it's nice, clean. Because remember, it's the time to bake.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so this is going to bake for 3 to 5 years, and then
the next
a
one's
year
3 to
later
5.
we go. So that's it. So I think the next one then we go in at probably looking to build by $25 million.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if they're a nice little $10 million, what's the best way to say it? We're communicating at this level,
Yes.
but the exit strategy is up here
Yeah.
because we know that these things can become tradable assets.
That's right.
Right, and we could still make a large sum of money on it even after we've got all our investors out.
So let me. It's easier to sell chunks. It's easier to sell a smaller fund than it is to sell a bunch of big ones.
Nice $10 million,
Yeah.
which at that time would be worth
Probably
15 or 20,
15 or
right?
20.
So here's a $20 million package. Here's another $20 million package. Here's a $15 million package.
And they're actually buying these on cash flow.
yes,
So when you get above, let's call it 5 mil. When you get above 5 mil in single family, they trade at caps. They don't trade at appraised value.
right.
That's why they went in and bought that entire neighborhood up in Conroe and
right.
paid almost double
That's right.
what they would sell them for.
But this is why we've kept that those Wall Street leads warm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we can turn around now and say, hey, we've got $100 million over 5 different packages, and they'll start picking them up,
Yeah.
and we'll do very well.
Do all right there.
Yeah, so we're putting our little assets together in these packages that will be for sale. It's and the first one, the reason we stopped the first one, it just wasn't, the Series LLC got a little confusing. Some of the banks weren't interested in refining those, so we learned some lessons there. It still made a ton of money. There's
Oh, it's making a ton of money.
so much appreciation in there.
We're making, we as in everybody in the fund,
Yes.
we're making $180,000 a month in equity.
About that, yeah.
We're making over $2 million a year just in equity on like what?
Yeah.
$8 million
If the
or
numbers
something?
hold, right?
And I think they will.
Call it $1 million.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We're making
Yeah.
$1 mil to $2 mil a year off our first fund, which we're just kind of
Yeah.
tinkering with. So you guys that are in the fund, you have no idea how much money you're going to be making. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Yes. So, but it's listen, we're not Wall Street geniuses. It is as much the market as what we figured out doing, right?
Well, there's really no geniuses on Wall Street anyways. That's the dirty
I don't think
secret.
there's no geniuses in this business either.
No, there's not.
Right? It's just we hit the timing right. We're actually it's all hitting early, right? We thought it was going to be 2 years from now. Had we known it was going to be this year, man, we would have bought $50 million.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Because then that 50 would have been worth 100 right now. But that's our exit. I think we get to 150 million, a minimum 10%. So we're sell. Let's say we make 75 million. Let's say we make 60 million on that. Right off the bat, let's say 15% of the 6 million, 60 million goes to our investors.
Yeah.
So they got to get paid back. So
You and I are still going to be splitting it close to 30 mil each.
well, it'll be probably 25, and then the rest of that, there's other people around here who got to get paydays too. So I think we'll be fine.
At 30, so the goal is at 30 million each, they should cash flow about 15%, which will make us $4.5 million a year. Passive.
Yeah.
That's real passive income.
Yeah.
Ultra wealth in this country starts at 30 million. That's the place I'd like to hang out. Not a bad place.
It's not. But for you, the listener, just your 10 is life-changing. Right?
10 houses
The
is
10
life-changing.
housing you're going to get is absolutely life-changing. And the fact that we're going to buy $150 million and we're finally getting really good, I'd say we're probably at A financing now, right?
Yeah.
A-level financing under 5%, maybe teaser rates under 4% for 5-year spreads. We're looking really, really good.
Yep.
Yep. And we start getting the commercial financing and we get these things down to, 3.5%. Then all of a sudden that cash flow is just so amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's what we have to do. You got to basically put these packages together to get the portfolio. There might be, in our $10 million fund, there might be 5 or 6 portfolios. And each portfolio, is running at like 4.1% interest rate, which just cranks the, and again, so much appreciation in there. It just cranks up the cash flow that there are institutions that will buy it.
Oh, absolutely.
right? So the hedge funds will buy it, the big banks will buy it, and we're packaging these little for sales and put them out there. And next year we'll probably turn around, and I would think that by the end of next year, 2022, we're going to completely sell out the first fund.
Yeah.
Like sell it for $7 million.
Yep.
Based on raising $2 million.
Right.
Right.
It's going to be pretty good.
We bought it for roughly $4 million, and part of that $4 million was the $2 million we raised. So there's a $3 million windfall.
This is a what color Lambo did you drive today kind of payday. So it's going to be pretty sweet.
So
if you can get them, my God, the prices on Lambos are going through the roof. I was shopping before COVID, and evidently COVID is messing with the marketplace. As you'd imagine, real estate ain't the only thing that's gone up in price lately.
No, I watched, and we only have a minute left here. I watched Ford versus Ferrari again this weekend.
So great, isn't it?
And I said, if I ever bought something completely indulgent, it would be that 68 Shelby Cobra 350. I was like, that's the one I would buy. And there was only like 100 and something of them made. It's like, I'd go find one of those.
Yeah, it depends on which one. They made about 900 of them.
Yeah.
Of the Cobras. And I think they traded about $1 million each.
Right.
One of the car guys on here will tell me.
If I was going super indulgent, I'd buy one of those. It's my favorite car.
I will tell you my dream car, and I may never own it just because you just can't drive it.
Yep.
McLaren F1, and they're selling at $25 million right now.
Nice.
But
hey,
anyways.
Thanks for joining us. Robert and Jason, world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. We'll be back tomorrow night.